Sometimes it seems that in Quentin Tarantino's films, the characters do nothing but talk, talk, and talk. However, his dialogues don't seem long or superfluous. Let's try to understand how they are arranged. Most of Tarantino's characters do not look like ordinary people. Their flamboyant appearance and grotesque mannerisms give away a kind of cinematicness in them. And what are their conversations about? The gastro-linguistic nuances?
You know what they call a quarter pounder with cheese in Paris?
They don't call it a quarter pounder with cheese?
Oh man, they got the metric system. They wouldn't know what the fuck a quarter pounder is.
And what do they call it?
They call it Royale with cheese.
Royale with cheese.
That's right.
What do they call a Big Mac?
Big Mac's a Big Mac, but they call it Le Big Mac.
Le Big Mac.
The hidden meanings of Madonna's songs.
What the fuck was I talking about? So True Blue was about a guy, sensitive girl that meets a nice guy, but like a virgin with a metaphor for big dicks. Okay, let me tell you what Like a Virgin is. It's all about this Coos, who's a regular fucking shit. Now I'm talking morning, day, night, afternoon. Dick, 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 dick.
How many dicks is that?
A lot.
Or comic books.
Superman didn't become Superman. Superman was born Superman. When Superman wakes up in the morning, he's Superman.
I mean the sort of things that would be discussed in casual conversation at any neighbouring table, namely about pop culture, which Tarantino is busy reworking. And even when his films take place at a time when pop culture, in the modern sense, did not exist yet, he still finds a way to connect with it. In Django Unchained, such a unifying theme becomes something known to 21st century viewers, if only because of Wagner's legacy, the Song of the Nibelungs.
The secret table?
Quite spectacularly so.
He scales the mountain because he's not afraid of it. He slays a dragon because he's not afraid of him. And he walks through hellfire because Brunhilde's worth it.
And in The Hateful Eight, the story of a letter carried by Major Warren becomes the centerpiece.
You know what this is, tramp? It's a letter from Lincoln. Letter from Lincoln to him. They shared a correspondence during the war. They was pen pals, and this is just one of the letters. What the?
These seemingly unimportant conversations do not move the plot of the film, but they do reveal the characters and bring the characters closer to the viewer. But let's not only listen to what the characters are saying, but also look at the way Tarantino shoots the dialogues. Firstly, the lighting. The light source is often not very high above the characters. This allows you to further emphasize the area of conversation in the space of the scene. Secondly, the camera. If several people are involved in the conversation, the cameraman can start to describe circles around them. In this way, the space is opened up, and it helps to combat the static nature of the image. Another way to make the conversation visually dynamic is to change frame sizes and angles. Here, for example, is another dialogue from Pulp Fiction. At first, the characters keep their distance and the camera captures them at the waist. When the distance between the characters shrinks, the conversation becomes more intimate, and Tarantino switches to close-ups. When the words are over and there is silence, the camera moves out of the space between the characters to look at them from the outside. Not together, but apart. Two lonelinesses have met.
Don't you hate that?
Hey, what?
Uncomfortable silences. Why do we feel it's necessary to yak about bullshit in order to be comfortable?
I don't know. That's a good question.
And finally, the scenography. Sometimes, in order to make the dialogue more dynamic, Tarantino divides it into a series of mise-en-scène, which gradually flow one into another. For example, the big conversation at the very beginning of Pulp Fiction is built on the constant movement of the characters. Here they are travelling in a car. We've already heard about the burgers. Then they take a gun out of the boot and head towards the building.
What's her name?
Mia.
Mia. How did Marcellus and her meet?
I don't know. However people meet people. She used to be an actress.
Oh, really?
They slow down at the front door to distract themselves by discussing the problems of TV series production.
Well, the way they pick TV shows is they make one show. That show's called a pilot.
They remember a colleague on the way to the lift.
Marcellus fucked him up good. Word around the campfire is it was on account of Marcellus Wallace's wife.
Riding in the lift,
So what'd he do, fucker?
No, nothing that bad.
Well, then what then?
Gave her a foot massage.
long walk down the corridors to the right door, making stops along the way.
Now look, maybe your method of massage differs from mine, but you know, touching his wife's feet and sticking your tongue in the holiest of holies ain't the same fucking ballpark. It ain't the same league. It ain't even the same fucking sport.
Already seemingly having reached their destination, they step aside to talk.
I ain't saying it's right, but you saying a foot massage don't mean nothing. I'm saying it does. And look, I given 1 million ladies 1 million foot massages, and they all meant something. We act like they don't, but they do. I mean, that's what's so fucking cool about it.
And finally return to the door.
What's her name again?
Mia,
Mia.
why are you so interested in Big Man's wife?
Well, he's going out of town in Florida, and he asked me if I'd take care of her while he's gone.
Take care of her?
No, man. Just take her out, you know. Show her a good time, make sure she don't get lonely.
You're gonna be taking Mia Wallace out on a date?
It is not a date.
In this one conversation, Tarantino manages to move from a discussion of French McDonald's to a plot-relevant introduction of characters the viewer has not yet seen on screen. We learn that Marcellus Wallace is a dangerous man, and that the boundaries of what is acceptable in dealing with another man's wife are up for debate, and yet the director keeps the viewer from getting bored in 7.5 minutes of dialogue. Let's see how Tarantino's directing techniques work in another very vivid scene, the beginning of Inglourious Basterds. Officer Hans Landa is trying to find out the location of the Dreyfus, a Jewish family, and farmer Perrier Lapadate is trying to keep them from giving them away. If their dialogue were filmed in the usual static way, it would seem incredibly drawn out and boring, as it lasts a full 16 minutes. How does Tarantino deal with that timing? The scene begins with Landa sitting down at a table, which you can see is lit from above, and drinking a glass of milk. He does this confidently, one might say, in a masterly manner, showing at once that he is the authority here. It's worth noting that Tarantino often uses food to tell us about characters' relationships. Take Pulp Fiction, for example, the scene where Jules samples a burger from one of the crooks he and Vince have come to punish. It's a gesture that makes it clear who's in charge. In Pulp Fiction, when Mia and Vincent are in a restaurant, Vincent uses a fork and a knife. Mia doesn't hesitate to eat with her hands. He's careful, she's the mistress of the situation. Or Jackie Brown meets Ordell. He's a gangster, but the way Jackie drinks wine and eats popcorn makes it clear that she is the one in control. And there are many such examples. But let's get back to the scene. So, Lapadite sits down with Landa.
Monsieur Lapadite, vu ce dont nous avons à discuter, il serait préférable de discuter en privé.
The farmer's daughters leave, the characters are alone, and Landa suggests that Lapadite switch to English.
Je suis au regret de vous informer que j'ai épuisé l'étendue de mon français. Continuer à le parler si peu convenablement ne ferait que me gêner.
We and Monsieur Lapadite should be misled by Landa's extreme, even excessive politeness. But this politeness is an illusion. Tarantino endows many of his characters with this trait, including villains like Landa, Jules from Pulp Fiction,
Looks like me and Vincent caught you boys at breakfast. Sorry about that.
Bill from Kill Bill,
I suppose the idea is we cross Hanzo swords. Am I right?
Oren from the same film.
As your leader, I encourage you from time to time, and always in a respectful manner, to question my logic.
Oswaldo Mowbray from The Hateful Eight. And not just villains, Dr. Schultz from Django Unchained is also grotesquely suave.
Here comes the sheriff.
In Tarantino's movies, politeness time after time turns out to be something you don't expect from a tactful character. Back to the farm again.
Now, before the occupation, there were 4 Jewish families in this area, all dairy farmers like yourself.
Landa is asking questions, taking notes, but nothing really dangerous seems to be happening. The man leading the interrogation seems like a strange bureaucrat. The farmer feels a little more confident, lighting a pipe.
So the rumors you've heard have been of escape? Wait, yes.
It should be said here that there is quite a lot of smoking in Tarantino's films in general. You can find a scene with a cigarette in every film. Smoking works the same way as eating. You have to pay attention to who is smoking and how they do it. Here, for example, is Calvin Candy, a plantation labourer. He's confident and a little unstable. He's a menace. He holds an eccentric mouthpiece. Esteban Vijallo, who is visited by the heroine of Kill Bill, behaves in a similar way. He is also confident, also prefers to smoke with a mouthpiece. And he is also a kind of slave trader. He runs the local brothel. Mr. Wolf smokes at Jimmy's house in Pulp Fiction. You don't have to hear their conversation to realise how confident Mr. Wolf is. Back to Landa and Lapidite. The farmer's facial expression has become a little more confident. He leans over to the SS man and recalls the secure details of the wanted family under the recording. At this time, the camera begins to move around the table.
Amos was 9 or 10.
And Shoshana?
And Shoshana was 18 or 19. I'm not really sure.
And after describing a semicircle, the camera rushes down to show us that the Jewish family that has been discussed all this time is right below the speakers. Tension spikes, but it seems that the interrogation is over, and we can soon breathe easy. One more glass of milk and that's all.
Are you aware of the nickname the people of France have given me?
Lapidite makes little secret of his dislike, lights his pipe again, and leans back in his chair.
Did they call you the Jew hunter?
Precisely.
Landa looks like a smug buffoon who boasts of his nickname and his success in hunting Jews. Lapidite is forced to listen to him talk about rats. And at the end of this story, Tarantino inserts a visual joke. Look at Landa's pipe. What kind of villain is he? But Lapidite already realises he's a real villain.
You're sheltering enemies of the state, are you not?
And the viewer realises by the end of the scene that Landa has controlled the conversation at every stage, directing the reactions of the interlocutor who is forced to give up the Dreyfus family. This extended dialogue feels more like a competition than anything else, like a battle. And with the help of changing angles, changes in the actor's facial expressions and small details, Tarantino makes us understand where the characters stand in relation to each other at any given moment and how much we should worry about the character's fate. Tarantino turns the exchange of words into a dynamic attraction, using every element of film language. You never know how a conversation will turn out. A spoilt breakfast, a visual reference to a Hong Kong action film, or a change of subject.
Marvin, what do you make of all this?
Man, I don't even have an opinion.
Well, you gotta have an opinion. I mean, do you think that God came down from heaven and stopped? Oh,
what the fuck's happening?
Oh, man, shit, man. Oh, man, I shot Marvin in the face.
Why the fuck you do that?
Well, I didn't mean to do it. It was an accident.
Oh, man, I see some crazy ass shit in my time, but this...
Chill out, man. I told you it was an accident. You probably went over a bump or something.
Hey, the car ain't hit no motherfucking bump.